Nice morning out here on Long Island. Except if you're James Dolan, the owner of the Knicks. Well, majority owner of the Knicks. Let's be real with this here. Speaking of which, James Dolan of Massapequa, Long Island, which I did not know was from there until 2 days ago. James Dolan is being investigated for SA and trafficking to Harvey Weinstein. If you know that name, you know what my thoughts are on this guy, yes. James Dolan has been a genuine no-good piece of human dog shit for the better part of 20 years. He does not care for the Knicks. For some reason, he cares for the Rangers. But most of the time, doesn't give it two craps or two french fried titty fucks about the Knicks, even though they are his most profitable franchise between the two of them. Don't believe me? The Rangers and the Knicks are the two highest grossing franchises in their respective leagues. Don't believe me? Google's right there. But this is not about James Dolan. No, this is about Massapequa. In fact, the majority of Long Island. I've had years to think about this. Just think about my hatred for Massapequa. The people, I think, if you prove me wrong, some people there are pretty cool. I mean, you never know. But Massapequa, and filled with the majority of their citizens being divorced realtor housewives in their fake-ass blonde hair, way too expensive Starbucks drinks in one hand, their pocketbook in their other, filled with their pocketbook dogs, and they drive their Mercedes-Benz vehicles that drive 20 miles under the speed limit. By the way, every single one of those ladies has their hair looking like the Long Island Medium or Karen. You know that hairstyle. They live in their way too expensive fucking houses that they get from the money of their, let's be real, their divorced husband. Because they thought they're not good enough for me. By the way, the majority of Long Island is housing that's the size of a one-bedroom apartment and being charged for the price of a beach house. I say this as I live in a one-bedroom apartment. The nicest part, by the way, of Long Island is a majority of the East End, which is like Montauk, the Hamptons, Greenport, Orient Point. Which, by the way, it seems a lot of people go to Montauk. I haven't been to Orient Point yet, which is amazing because I lived here all my life. But the East End mostly consists of farmland, great beaches, nice houses, and good towns, and quite honestly, the nicest human beings in the entire state of New York. Which is all sorts of hilarious to me. Because it's amazing what happens when you treat people with kindness. And actually don't give a fuck about who they are as a person. And just say, oh, how you doing? Good to see you. How's the wife? How's the kids? How's the husband? Blah, blah, blah. Like, oh, nice parade you're going to there. That's awesome. Good for you. Actually give a shit. It ain't hard. Instead of just going, your Heelys look off-centered. Fuck you. It's not even a real insult. Or, why are your sunglasses tinted? Fuck you. By the way, Massapequa. Don't believe me about the houses part of it. Just go to Merrick Road in Massapequa and Massapequa Park. And just go south. Down every side street imaginable. Long Island, by the way, is the easiest to tell, which is north, south, east, and west. But the easier way to do it is sun rises in the east and sets in the west. Literally, that's it. And then just find north and south from there. This ain't hard. Don't believe me? Google's right there on your phone. Speaking of phone. Massapequa, there's really not a lot to do there anyway. I mean, there's good pizza. That's what they call Massa Pizza for a reason. By the way, Alec Baldwin's from Massapequa. Again, Google. All-American Burgers there, too, which is, pretty good burger joint. Kind of overrated, to be honest. I've had better burgers from local bars. Shout out to Howard's Cafe in Patchogue. Nassau County as a whole is a shithole. It really is. It really is a shithole. I don't know. Most of Long Island consists of beaches. Hi, Donut. Consists of beaches, industrial area, more beaches, farmland, and then city folk. By the way, let's talk about Manhattan. Let's talk about the 5 boroughs of New York City. Don't go there. Just don't go there. But New York is the most beautiful place in the world. Yeah, unless you live here. I'm going to keep upstate out of there because, that's a whole different state, basically. And, we keep their kind where they are because they don't want to be bothered. They're like tigers. Just don't bother them. And they won't maul you to death.